You were alive for the first 3 years of your life. You opened your eyes and saw the world for the very first time. You heard your mother's voice and recognized it immediately. You learned to crawl and then to walk and then to speak, but you remember absolutely none of it. Those first years of your life are completely gone, and no matter how hard you try, you will never get them back. Scientists call this childhood amnesia, and for decades, nobody could explain why it happens. You were clearly conscious during those early years. You were learning at an incredible speed. A baby's brain forms over 1 million new connections every single second. That is faster than at any other point in your entire life. So if your brain was working that hard, why did it save nothing? To understand this, we need to look at how memory actually works. Your brain has two main types of memory. The first is called implicit memory. This is the type of memory that stores skills and physical abilities. Things like how to walk, how to grab objects, and how to chew food. You learned all of these as a baby, and you still use them today. These memories survived because they are stored differently in the brain. The second type is called explicit memory. This is the type that stores events and experiences. Your first day at school, or your 10th birthday party. These are the memories that require a specific part of the brain called the hippocampus. And here's where the mystery begins to make sense. The hippocampus in a baby's brain is not fully developed yet. It is still growing and forming new connections. It does not reach full maturity until around the age of 7. This means that during your first few years of life, your brain was recording experiences with an incomplete system. It is like trying to save a file on a computer that has not finished installing its hard drive. The data goes in, but the system cannot store it properly. Some fragments might survive, but most of it simply disappears. But there is another reason your early memories vanish, and it has to do with something scientists did not expect. New brain cells actually erase old memories. This process is called neurogenesis. Your brain produces huge numbers of new brain cells during early childhood, and as these new cells integrate into existing brain networks, they reorganize everything. The connections that held your earliest memories get rewritten and replaced. Your brain is essentially renovating itself so aggressively that it demolishes the old rooms. The memories that were stored in those rooms get cleared out in the process. Scientists tested this theory using an experiment with young animals. They found that animals with high rates of new brain cell growth forgot learned tasks faster. When they slowed down the growth of new brain cells, the animals retained their memories longer. The very process that makes young brains so good at learning is the same process that erases their earliest memories. Your brain chose growth over preservation. It decided that building new connections was more important than keeping old ones. Now here is something that might surprise you. You probably think your earliest memory is from around age 3 or 4. But research suggests that memory might not be entirely real. Studies show that many of our earliest memories are partially constructed. Your brain takes fragments of real experiences and fills in the gaps with imagination. It uses photographs you have seen and stories your family has told you. Over time, your brain blends these sources together until they feel like a genuine memory. You believe you remember your 3rd birthday party, but what you might actually remember is the photograph of that party that you saw years later. Your brain turned that photograph into a memory that feels like it belongs to you. Scientists tested this by asking adults about their earliest memories. Nearly 40% of people claim to remember events from before the age of 2. But scientists know this is almost certainly not possible given how the brain develops. These memories were most likely constructed from external sources, not from actual experience. Your brain created them to fill the gap. There is one more fascinating layer to this mystery. Language plays a much bigger role in memory than most people realize. Before you could speak, you experienced the world without words. You felt emotions and saw colors and heard sounds, but you had no language to describe them. Memory relies heavily on language to organize and store experiences. Without words, your brain had no filing system for those early moments. Think of it this way. Imagine trying to describe a sunset to someone without using any words at all. You could feel the warmth and see the colors, but you could not capture it in a way that lasts. That is what every experience was like for you as a baby. beautiful and real in the moment, but impossible to store permanently. As you developed language, your brain finally had a tool to label and organize experiences. That is roughly when your permanent memories begin, usually around age 3 to 4, when language skills become strong enough. Now, here is the part that changes how you think about yourself. If you cannot remember your first 3 years, then who were you during that time? You were a completely different version of yourself that you will never know. You had reactions and preferences and emotions that shaped who you became. But the person who experienced all of those moments is essentially a stranger to you. Every single person walking around today lived an entire life they cannot remember. They laughed and explored and discovered the world for the very first time, and none of them can recall what that felt like. Your brain decided those memories were less important than growing into who you are now. It traded your earliest experiences for the ability to become a more complex human being. Some scientists believe this is not a flaw, but a feature. If we remembered everything from infancy, our brains would be overwhelmed with data. By clearing out early memories, your brain made room for the experiences that matter more, the ones that help you navigate the world as it becomes more complex. So the next time you look at a baby, just remember something. That baby is having experiences right now that they will never remember. Their brain is working harder than it ever will again. And in a few years, all of that effort will quietly disappear. What is the earliest memory you actually have? And after watching this video, do you think it is real? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe to Whisper Files for more things your brain never told you.